This is the Said No One Ever podcast.
A podcast about things you never knew you wanted to hear about.
I'm Ian Bennett.
And I'm Martin Moore.
Let's get into it. Everything's good.
See, I always do that thing where I talk really quiet and then I talk loud again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's not how I fucking talk. So I switch up my mic check. But
right.
So it's not doing it any service.
Yeah.
Fuck me, man. Canadians. So
fucking
weird.
Canadians.
Fucking Canadians.
I love Canadians.
God, I love being Canadian.
Right. So I'm going to start recording you guys.
All right.
And then I'm going to make sure I have...
So me and Ian usually start off with just like a minute between us.
Just a little banter.
Yeah.
Just a little banter.
And then we end up getting into like the guest, and then I'll introduce you, and then it'll
Just
be a quick little
banter. God.
Because it makes the audience wonder, like, is there a guest on the show, or
do we even like each other?
Yeah, right.
Like, we're just let's host this show together. Shit.
We're recording, right?
Shit. Yes. Okay. Woo! I'm so pumped, dude. I'm trying to keep all my emotions in. Let's go.
Episode 10.
Episode 10. I wish I spoke different languages so I could tell you all the different numbers in 10 and different Spanish. I don't know. What is that? Diez. What about
and that's all I know.
French. Un, deux, trois, quatre, cinq, six, sept, huit, neuf, dix.
Hey, speaking of French, because you're from Canada, do you know like a lot of French?
Yeah, I know a little bit. Like I got that. I got that.
Do you know
I got that little accent I could put on that. Parlez-vous français?
You know my middle name is Jacques.
I could see you as
I'll give you $2 if you can spell Jacques.
Jacques.
Dude, episode 10. We have talked about some really cool topics on this show. Cult culture, hustle porn, Gen Z, and racism, keeping up with the Joneses.
Preach.
I got a really excited topic that we're going to be talking about today.
This guest is big time though. Yeah. I know she's going to downplay it. She's going to be that humble pie. She's going to be, she's the real deal.
She is.
She's the real deal. She's a boss. And like everyone's always like, she's running like she's a boss lady. But honestly, all genres. She's men, women. She's a boss, period. I don't want to put her in that box where she's a advocate for the women. No, she's an advocate for like human beings. She's a boss, man.
She's the DJ for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Wicked
certified
DJ.
NBA champion, Milwaukee icon, a personal friend to us, and a friend of the Edge Podcast Network. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, bow, DJ Shawna.
DJ Shawna in the building. No stress, no stop. Can't do it all day, every day. Your favorite DJ, your grandma's favorite DJ, your mom's favorite DJ, your dog's favorite DJ. Pow!
How are you, Shawna?
Hey, everybody.
How's she gonna match that energy? Everyone's gonna be like,
I don't know.
Have you ever had an intro like that?
I don't know what to say.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. Episode 10.
It's so good to
Why don't
see
you tell people really quick a little bit about who you are, what you do, catch them up to speed?
Yeah,
not that
sure.
If you don't know who DJ Shawna is, you're a loser.
No.
In Wisconsin, you're not there then. You're not there.
Tell the listeners a little bit about what you do, who you are.
First, it's good to see you both. I've missed you both very much. This is the first time in a long time.
I know.
A long time. But thank you for your energy, Ian. I'm ready for it.
Something's
it's
wrong
just
with me.
like
Something's wrong.
Something is not wrong with you at all. I don't know how to appropriately, that's an intro.
Yeah.
That I felt like, because it's not, how do you do that sitting down with headphones on?
Yeah.
Do it justice.
I just think it's off of you though. I feed off of you, I don't want to put you in a box because I think you're bigger than the box,
Well, thank you. But I'm honored to be here, man. This is my first podcast in a while. And
is it?
Yeah.
Well, we'll go hard on you.
I appreciate it.
Man.
I'm just kidding.
She's been
what have you been up to? Tell her. You got a ring.
How about we bring it back to last year before we got about the bubble? Because I love the Bucks, but you know who my boy is though. LeBron James. LeBron James. That's my guy. But dude, tell me the experience in the bubble, dude.
Yeah, it's I think as we were talking before we started recording, I think I'm still processing everything. It's been 18 months for me of NBA basketball. That's right. And I'm grateful as a DJ. So I was one of 4 DJs to go to Orlando to work in the NBA bubble for the restart for last season. The only female, which is kind of cool.
Big.
I did get a chance to meet LeBron and talk to LeBron. We had a moment that went viral that I was playing the Sade song that he danced to after they beat the Blazers in the first round. That's pretty cool. If we could pull up the GIF and drop it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. You gotta
Did you just call it a GIF?
I call it a GIF. I do. You say GIF?
GIF. But
I love it.
Well, we're the same age.
The original person said that it's pronounced.
No, it's GIF. It's a GIF.
Nah, look it up.
I love this. I have looked it up. It's a GIF.
No, the guy that invented it. He said, I love it. Like the peanut butter.
Really?
Dang, dude, we gotta look that up.
I've spent.
Look at how. Did you see my face right now?
Yeah,
the listeners can't see, but I'm like.
No, that's awesome.
So mainstream has changed it to GIF.
It's not a GIF. What are you giving me? That's stupid. That's not a GIF. I'm going with GIF.
That's a J.
Because I don't want that.
That's a J.
No, but it's not a GIF. What are you sending? That's not. Because what? It's not a good GIF.
Anyways,
I don't want that.
I don't know. Either way, there's a dancing memoji of LeBron from that moment. Honest to God, they made an Instagram filter out of it. Like this, it was kind of crazy to be a part of. So I know like you love social media, and so can I lay the story out?
Yeah.
You want to talk about LeBron?
Yeah, I love LeBron.
It's I'm a big LeBron fan too. So I love the Bucks. I'm very loyal, but like I got to DJ for 22 NBA teams, and you got to see these guys in a totally different light. And one of which was first round of playoffs. The Lakers beat the Trailblazers.
Yep.
And I don't remember how many games it was. Everything in the bubble just kind of like meshed together a little bit. But so LeBron finished his on-court interview, and AD was finishing his like off the court interview. You know, they had another camera like on the baseline. And LeBron finishes, and when he finishes, I hit Smooth Operator by Sade. And I know it's one of his jams. It's one of his favorite artists. Dude had a whole choreographed dance to it. Like
he's practiced over the week.
Like I don't know if it just flowed, but like it was so smooth. And honestly, I'll send you when we're done. I'll send you the video.
Send it,
please.
And so I got to give a shout out to Rohan. So Rohan is the main social media guy, videographer for the Lakers.
Okay.
And Rohan was literally like right there, spot on, and got it. And LeBron is just playing to the camera.
That's cool.
And so like I'm in my DJ booth, just like eating this up, just like going bonkers. And then unbeknownst to me, this thing goes viral. Like
really?
It literally, it went like real quick.
Really?
So much so the Lakers girls. So obviously they only had DJs. We didn't have any entertainment, no mascots, no dancers, nothing. So the Lakers girls are back home and they choreographed the same dance. And so they have a video that goes viral.
I didn't see it. I normally see everything. I never seen that.
So you were like the catalyst for that.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, I mean, LeBron was. I just was. I got to be I was a cog in the machine.
Sure.
So,
hey, update your LinkedIn profile. Put that on there. That's resume content.
But then, like the next day, Bron posts like this filter on Instagram, and it's a cartoon version of him doing the exact same dance, and it's called Smooth Operator.
I'm gonna have to look for it.
Yeah, and it's fire. And so it's crazy, like these moments that you get to be a part of, and nobody would know. You know, like that's LeBron's moment. I'm there for him, but it was very cool to hopefully like be a value add in that.
Yeah. You know what the best part was that at the bubble too, you're playing these tracks and like obviously the NBA guys are feeling it, but I'm feeling it. Like I'm getting it. And you know what the best thing is? Like that's my girl. Like I know her. Like that was the best thing for me. I was like, she's playing these tracks. Everyone's hyped because everyone's talking about that in the bubble.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you read everything, everyone was like, yo, the bubble was awesome. Like no one missed a beat just because obviously, like she said, that there's no entertainment, but you were playing so many tracks that you were just, I don't know if you were feeling everyone's vibe, but how'd you do that? Like how were you just picking the right stuff though? Like, cause you had me, I was watching, I was just like, I was dancing, I was getting my groove on, I'm like, I know her. So I'm like, how'd you feel everyone's vibe?
Thank you. You know, it's something that the bubble really taught me. It was, so I think, I mean, you're as a professional athlete, as an athlete, like music is a way of life for people, right?
It's a huge motivator.
It is. And like, whether, you know, I've known athletes that are listening in their headphones, like reminding them to breathe, you know, like, and it's not what we always think it is. And that to be honest, so you talk about boxes, that's where I really got challenged to think outside the box. And I really they just trusted me to just do what I felt. And I think, my personality type, and you both know me well enough, like I'm a feelings person. I love to make people happy. And when I'm working for the NBA or I'm working for the Bucks, that's not about me. That's not a DJ Shawna show. I am there. This is their show. This is Giannis's show. This is Chris Middleton's show. This is Drew's show. This is LeBron. You can go down Dame, like you can go down the list, Russ. And I got to mention Jimmy because there's a Jimmy story too. And so, but this is like their show. And so you know, like I think at the time the Michelob commercials were really popping off with Jimmy. And there was why did I just forget it? He had a song. There was a song that again you wouldn't think would be like a Jimmy Butler or NBA song, and he would love to hear it. It was something that, again, I want to say it was an old school like 70s song, and I can't think of it right now. I feel awful. But there were things like that I would just started to have fun. When the Blazers came out, they loved Cameo. And so there was stuff like that like you expect it to be all Drake or Migos and like
my Drake.
Right. I do too. I do too.
No, that's good though. No, but
we were working 2 games a day. Like they were playing nonstop. And so with anything, if you're listening to the same thing, you have to keep it fresh,
man. That's why I don't know how you did it.
Thank you.
Do you take requests too? Were they like requesting like
they did? They
while
would.
they're dribbling.
They would.
Send like a carrier pigeon with like whatever tracks they want.
Hit me with that track. Hit me with this.
They know how to get like requests to us, but like Jason, it's funny. Like Jason Tatum, I believe it was during playoffs. He wanted to hear my Boo. Or Boot Up. Boot Up. Excuse me. Boot Up. An amazing song. But again, a very like slowed down R&B song. So like they run out of the tunnel and you hear like Buddha Buddha like, and he's jamming. And it's moments like that like, again, I'm not, who am I to say like what's gonna hype up a 21-year-old NBA like a basketball player, right? Sure. So I'm always open to playing everything. That. Thanks.
Oh my God.
So does it feel good to now that this last season is over and the playoffs are done and the Bucks won, does it feel good to just like
it really does? You just sounded like my headspace.
Really?
Yeah.
or is everybody want a piece of you now to talk about what it was like in the bubble and what was it like? Or are you finally winding down a little bit?
I think I'm winding down. I'll be if I always am honest and very candid. I had a lot of attention like in the bubble, and then from as me, and even then through playoffs, like I got a lot of attention, which is I'm humbled and grateful.
Yeah, because Bucks are going through it, and you're like the DJ, so it's like, what is going on?
So it's definitely quiet, and I'm grateful for that, because I think again, this as an athlete or even as a DJ, being a part of athletics, it's a roller coaster.
Oh, I bet.
And so I'm definitely in a recharge mode right now. I do feel a lot like I'm me still, but like it takes a little bit for me to like turn into like DJ Shawna, which I air quote that as my alter ego.
Sure.
And so we have 7 weeks, like the preseason schedule just got shared, and like 7 weeks we are back at Fiserv for like the next season, which is wicked fast.
It's credible, DJ, because DJ Shawna, I know that's your alter ego and stuff, but you're like seriously like a superhero, because you're in the topic is that's so gay, right?
Here, I'm gonna try and figure out what the segue is gonna be,
right? So
we're gonna pivot.
But here you go, just breaking all these barriers, DJ. Like you are like just breaking all these barriers, and I'm not gonna lie, you're in a male dominant sport. Like let's be honest, but you're killing it.
Thank you.
You are crushing it. You're for these little girls that are coming up that want to be athletes, that want to be DJs, that want to be in the mix. You're just creating such a good positive vibe, but you're doing it in like your own way, and you're killing it. And that's what I love, because again, you got to hold the trophy, right? They're putting you as part of the thing. They're not just putting like, oh, this is DJ Shawna, we'll win it, she's a great DJ, but they're embracing you. You're part of the culture now. Like you're part of the Bucks, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You're part of the culture now, and that is an amazing thing to do. And you're a woman, and you're just beasting. How do you handle all this?
I appreciate the kind words, to be honest. Like it's very humbling, and it's like when I look at that picture of the trophy as a woman, like again in the NBA. So this is in my opinion, right? And I think a lot of people would agree, it's probably the best sports league. Like when you're looking at comparatively, like we could argue a lot of like football clubs overseas, but like when you're looking at leagues and what they do in regards to social justice, everything the NBA stands for, it's one of the best, I think. The way, look at the bubble, the precedent they sent there. Yeah. And so it's very humbling. So I'm currently one of 3 female DJs that are official DJs in the NBA. The other 2 are dear friends of mine, and I would not be here literally without them. But I don't know, I haven't talked about this publicly yet, and so Martin, I saved this for you, this will be a social media post I think at some point, but I am the first female DJ to be a part of a championship team on the NBA side.
See,
really?
So like,
it's something that again, I didn't make a single bucket all season.
Yeah.
But it's something that like I was there and I was working and
you're in everyone who's part of those teams, whether you're a player or you're a DJ or you're a janitor or you're a Gatorade boy or girl, whatever, a coach, everybody plays a part in that team and their success and their failures. And so if the music's not there, if the Gatorade's not there, if the coaches aren't there, if the players aren't there, everybody is such a necessary part. And when everything comes together and everyone's on the same page, you win a championship. Ian knows that. You obviously know that. And so, I think you played a much, much larger role than I think a lot of people understand or would give you credit for.
Yeah,
but I mean, the music is such a vital part for the fans' energy and motivation, for the players' energy and motivation, and to piss off the other team too. I mean, it's a dance. You're not just playing like random tracks. Everything is very methodical and premeditated and very specific. There's an agenda behind what you're playing. You want to hype your players up and you want to discourage the other team as much as you can so that they miss. And so, well done.
Thank you. Yeah. I do put a lot of thought into it, and I think being a former professional basketball player, I think it definitely helps. I bet. I think I can't speak on this, but I'm pretty confident. I don't know if this is true, but I'm confident that I'm the only professional athlete that's a DJ in the NBA.
Really?
I think so. I don't think it's single.
I don't know. Yeah.
Do you have a Wikipedia page? Can you go look on your Wikipedia page?
Well, I can ask our NBA. I'll ask the NBA DJs.
Yeah, because
I just don't know how to ask that without sounding like a jag bag.
I'll ask.
Hey guys, am I the only professional athlete that's a DJ?
I love it. We gotta find that out. I love it.
So you're a lot of things. You're a DJ. You're a champion. You used to play basketball. You're an icon. All this stuff. And one thing a lot of people might not know about you or who you are and your personality and your life and stuff like that is that you're gay.
Yeah.
And that was the whole topic for this episode. And I was trying to figure out how we're going to pivot from this and do the segue.
You're nailing it.
I think that's it's a cool thing. And it's something I kind of want to get into because, just your status as far as just being a DJ and stuff like that, and a lot of the people that look up to you. I think there's a lot of cool, interesting, fun stuff that we can get into, kind of about your story, my relationship with my LGBTQ fans, friends and family and stuff like that. And so I want to get into, kind of the state of LGBTQ acceptance in 2021. Where are we now? How did we get here? Kind of our own history with friends and family and coming out and stuff like that. I kind of want to get into sports. There's a few gay athletes that have come out now. The Raiders,
especially on the men's side.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's been
kind of want to talk about that. I kind of want to talk about how they've been portrayed in like movies and cinema and stuff. So I just watched. Have you seen There's Something About Mary?
Yeah.
Anytime recently?
Yeah. Well, I don't say recently,
okay.
But
so I watched it this weekend, and there's this one part in the movie.
Nothing to do. Damn.
It was. I don't know why we watched it. We were bored, and then it popped on Netflix. And there's this one part in this movie where Ben Stiller, he's like with his therapist trying to talk about like why he's obsessed with this girl and he wants to try and go find her. And they were talking about like rest stops or something. And his therapist said, rest stops are homosexual hangouts. And I was like, ooh, that joke didn't age well. And then later in the movie, he like accidentally stumbles upon like a bunch of like homosexual men like at the rest stop, like making out and doing all that stuff. And he gets arrested and he's busted by the cops. And then he goes to jail and like he's cuddling with this guy. And I was just like, man, like, that kind of stuff, the mockery of it. I want to get into that and kind of how that's changed now in cinema and TV and media, like and stuff like that, because that kind of stuff won't fly. So let's just get into it. In your opinion, Shawna, where are we? Because we've come a long way in the last 20 years. We've definitely come a long way in the last 100 years. But where do you feel like we are with the whole thing?
I think it's interesting, and I think while acknowledging that we have come a really long way, I still think we have a really long way to go.
Sure.
And I think the one of the hotter topic conversations has been trans athletes, and especially with this having the Olympics, and so the fact that we're still talking about when it comes to LGBTQ plus people, that we're still talking about like, can they participate in a sport?
Sure.
I think is still really interesting.
Yeah.
And so it's and that's where we are. And that's I think it's coming out is still an issue. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Whether you're a woman or you're a man or you don't identify, you're non-binary or however you want to identify.
Yeah.
And so it's still a thing. And we just had the first openly gay football player come out.
On the Raiders, I believe it was.
Yep. And then, it just is going to take time. I think it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
And I think too, we could go down this rabbit hole of talking about stereotypes. And when you talk about female athletes and, that like the joke that comes with being a softball player or a basketball player or predominantly stereotypical sports that like have had a lot of like lesbian identified athletes. But then when somebody plays beach volleyball and identifies as part of the LGBTQ plus family, then that blows somebody's mind. Like they can't, right. They don't. And so like the thing that I love about humans is that we, as you mentioned earlier, we can't put people in a box.
No.
And we can't make assumptions. And it's something that I've never done is assume somebody's sexuality. It's something that I'm really proud of in myself and as well as pronouns, to be honest. It's something that I that matters to me. Who you are and how you identify, that's yours. And if you choose to share that with the world, then I will acknowledge that and accept it for what it is. And if there are questions, there's a right way and a wrong way to ask questions.
And you know what's crazy? We're everyone's fighting for the easiest thing, but it's so hard. Like with race and everything, we just want to be accepted.
Well, and that's
we just want to be accepted.
Yeah.
And like if you come out, you this, you that, it doesn't matter. We just want to be accepted.
100%.
So something so small, but it's so difficult to come across. And I'll never understand this because we live in a society with all these humans and all these different colors, all these different makeups, big, small. I just don't understand how you can say something's right and something's wrong.
Well,
that for me, that's what I just
I guess here I'm going to go on a quick diatribe. Like we swear on the show, FYI.
Okay.
Like I have a big fucking problem with anyone who thinks that they get to decide how another human being can live or think or who they can love or what they can do or what they should believe or what property they can buy or who they can marry. Who are you to crown yourself the king of morality and tell people how they can live? There's two people that get to decide who you are and who you love and all that. Yourself and God, if you believe in her or him. And that's it. So I struggle with individuals and governments and politicians who make laws that inhibit people from having the same life, liberty, love, and pursuit of happiness as everybody else,
I think and maybe this is going to spiral and this is
no,
but like,
speak your mind. No, speak your mind, girl.
Our country is built on stolen land by stolen people.
Oh,
and like therein, before we really acknowledge that and own that, to be honest, and even in how we teach history, I think that's why we have so far to go.
Oh, exactly.
Because when you're talking about equality and equity, I think they're very different topics. I do not think that you can talk about LGBTQ plus things and they are not synonymous with race.
Yeah.
Because being somebody that is Black in the United States is never comparable to anything. It's as LGBTQ plus people, they may have gone through hell. We can talk about the AIDS epidemic. We can talk about everything that has happened, but never have they been enslaved. And that is a whole nother area that and that's this when you try to make sure that we talk about these things to understand the boundaries, and they're difficult conversations. But as somebody who is white and recognizes the privilege that comes with my skin color, it's something that I continue to challenge myself to have difficult conversations. And I'm going to stumble and I'm not always going to say the right thing, but I'm like with Ian, what we've always connected on is our hearts and like how he views people. And that is something that, again, maybe I say the wrong thing and I have a lot of things to unlearn, but I'm still, training myself to not be biased and have these like inherent biases and preconceived notions about people. And I think being a part of a minority group has helped me, to be honest with you, as being a woman that identifies as gay. And so it's sometimes sitting back and knowing when to talk and then knowing when to listen as well.
Sure.
But we're in America. Why can't we let's just be honest. This is the greatest country, right? Everyone says, let's just say
Yeah.
this America, the greatest country. Why can't we set the standard and be like open to everything? Why can't we be that country to let everything go and accept everybody? We'll be the greatest country. Even I don't understand.
The potential's there.
We're so competitive. Our country's so competitive, but yet we're losing at some of this stuff.
I think one of the biggest hurdles that we've had, and you kind of brought this up, Ian, was acceptance.
Yeah,
there's a big dichotomy between civil rights and letting ending segregation and gay rights and letting gays and lesbians get married and accepting it. Those are two very different worlds. Just because you get the right to do something now legally, it doesn't mean that people are going to accept you. And so they're two very separate lanes, two very separate problems that you have to tackle at the same time. Everybody thought, what was it, 2015 when the Supreme Court passed gay marriage? I think it was.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I know, right? And everyone was
unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah,
sweet. We're done. And it's
no,
just because you passed the law doesn't mean that your grandma and grandpa or your next door neighbors or the kids down the street or whoever is going to accept it. And so I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that we've had in this country, whether it's racism or gay rights or whatever it is, the Irish, women's rights. There's always been this thing where we pass these laws and give people these rights, and then we struggle for a century to create the acceptance.
But we have to pass laws for this stuff.
Well, really? Absolutely. That
doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
I don't understand. I don't know. I'm Canadian, so we're different. We're different. We're different.
One of the things I want to get into is sort of or at least all of our history. But this episode's called "That's So Gay," and we're naming that for a very specific reason because I used to say that phrase. We've all heard, that's so gay. That's so gay.
I think,
I used to say that before my sister came out to me. She came out to me when I was 17. I remember we were working at this grocery store. We both worked there, and she sat me down and she said, "Well, I met someone," and I was like, "Oh, really? Who is he?" And she's like, "Well, it's a she," and I was like, I didn't know. I grew up in Grafton. It was a very closed off sort of little city. Yeah. I didn't know what gay was. I didn't even know that boys and boys being together and girls being together was a thing. And so when she came out to me, I remember my first reaction was, "Oh, are you happy?" And she started crying. And it never crossed my mind to think that was something that was bizarre or weird or unorthodox, because that shit's passed down. That's learned. We had Speak Life Shawna on here when we were talking about racism, and that's not something people are born with. Being homophobic or transgender phobic, that's something that you learn, and you learn that from your parents. You learn it from a lack of education. You learn it from media and cinema and TV mocking stuff like that. You look at Ace Ventura, and remember I don't know if you ever saw that movie, but there's a scene in that where he you
be watching some
where he kisses what he thinks is a girl, and he finds out that it was a transgender woman. It was actually a man, and he brushing his teeth and all this stuff. And it's so when you watch that stuff over and over and over, is someone like me who grew up not knowing what that is, that's your only education. And so it's
now flip it, if I may interrupt you, and be the person that is kissed. And so, and that's what I think is the issue. And you can talk about that when it comes to any minority group,
exactly.
You look at the roles in which people are portrayed as. And so that character that Ace kissed, the trans person, was then deemed that was gross and that was disgusting and that was wrong. And so I'll talk about internalizing that over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Right.
And that's
the shame that you can feel, and it makes you probably not want to come out or not let people know. The mental energy that probably goes into hiding who you are and how you feel has to be exhausting. I can't imagine what it was like for my sister to have to hold that in for all those
even
years.
Then to conform. So even if you know that you deviate, if you will, outside of the norm, right? As myself, and I have found it is exhausting to still sometimes people know I'm gay, right? I identify I'm not That's something that I've talked about comfortably for years, but there are still sometimes as a grown adult where I feel that I won't say certain things. I won't talk about certain things because I don't want to make somebody else uncomfortable.
Sure.
And that is a burden. That's something that I personally carry and do myself. And so,
dang, yeah, that kind of sucks, but I feel you. I feel where you're coming from.
And it's something that I think, like, I carry with me still to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm a grown adult. I'm very comfortable with who I am, but I will put other people before myself. And so you like internalize all these things. So whether that means how I dress or how I present myself, or again, things I talk about or things I don't talk about, or how I'll skate around certain things. And I find myself doing it. And it's interesting because, again, I think it's a disservice because if I don't share my story, then how are they going to know maybe otherwise something else that's different?
Exactly.
I got a cool question to ask you, DJ Shawna. So so now okay, where do you go and meet these girls now? Like, cause I'm just saying because the gay bars now, which I love.
Let's get into that.
I feel like the gay bars, they're not died off, but I feel like now it's kind of cool to I went to tons of gay bars. I just think it's getting to be not like the norm, but I think it's cool now, right? You're going out, you see all buddies. Where do you go? What do you do? How does this work? I just want to
Ian, that is a phenomenal $1 million question.
Yeah, I want to know.
I think one of the coolest things about how LGBT culture has evolved, and I can only speak for myself on the girl side in my experience, is that there is no longer a stereotype.
Yes.
And
good.
So and for me, to be honest, it makes it more difficult to meet women because I don't make assumptions on people's sexuality.
That is a good point.
And so
I didn't think about that. You're right.
I feel like I walk in and you can see a rainbow flag and you're nailed it. Like we call me a 6-footer, right?
Yeah.
You can tell 6 feet away, there she is.
Yeah.
And typically for me, again, personally, I'm attracted to women that are more feminine, that don't dress like me, and so however that evolves, but then I don't know. How do you ask somebody are you
I'm saying.
And I don't have the
I love it. That's what I'm saying. I want to be her wing. We're gonna go out, we're just gonna be hey, we're just gonna hang out.
Let's back up a little bit because I want to talk about the decline of gay bars.
Yeah.
And, is it last call for gay bars? Because I go to them all the time. Not all the time, but
that used to be your safe spot, right?
Well, I go with my sister, and and I mean, I have a shitload of family members and friends that I probably am friends and have more family of people who are gay that aren't. Mm-hmm. And so going to gay bars it's a huge thing. Going to drag shows is I love doing that stuff, and it's sad. Kind of seeing the decline of it. And so I did a little research. I got my facts, Ian.
This boy got numbers on numbers.
It really began around 2002 when the decline started happening. And between 2007 and 2019, as many as 37 to 40% of gay bars in the U.S. have closed. Right now, there's only 15 lesbian bars left in the United States. 15.
I think it's 30. I don't want to. So there was a documentary done. And Walker's Pint is a part of it. So I think it's I don't want to but
this was according to the ASA.
Okay.
There's not a lot.
There's not a lot. Is that a bad thing or a good thing?
Well,
I'm trying to figure out.
I think it's a bad thing.
I think it is a bad thing.
Because
go ahead.
Like you said, gay bars are more than just a bar. It's a safe haven for people that may not be out. Like Shawna said, it's a place where you can walk in and if you see a girl there, chances are there's a 99% chance that she's a lesbian. Or if you're a gay man, that if there's a guy there, you can just slide up
women.
to him. Yeah.
They identify.
Exactly.
Or you don't think it's changing where now we're getting more comfortable and they're just dude, I'm going out. I should be able to go to this bar too, just because
I think one of the reasons why we're slowly seeing them die off is because acceptance is up. Yeah. I think other things, apps like Grindr, it makes it much easier. Instead of having to wait till the weekend to go to a gay bar, you can hop on an app and you can meet someone anywhere, anytime, any place. And so I think it's a lot of things that are contributing to the death of it. But it is a problem because it is a safe haven for a lot of people in the community. It is a place where they can be themselves and they're not going to be judged. Yes, you can probably go into some bar downtown in the 3rd Ward and be yourself, but like you're not going to go there and really dress the way you want to, really act the way you want, or
well, to speak on that, I think it's about community, and that's the part. So the sad part is, and so there's a really cool documentary, and I feel terrible, but so we have Walker's Pint, where I started DJing, which is on 2nd and National, right? So Betsy, that is technically a lesbian bar, but again, to your point, it doesn't mean that anybody can go in there, and that's what it is meant to be, is a space that is welcoming. And Betsy's been around for over 20 years. And so I do think that it's around 30. So whether it's 15 or 30 lesbian bars in the country is astounding. And so again, I feel terrible. An actor from Orange is the New Black did this doc project during during quarantine.
Okay.
And so Betsy's a part of it. Walker's Pint is a part of it. And we have
check it out.
You do. And we have a really cool piece of history that is like literally in our backyard. That's awesome. I cherish, because like selfishly, I would not be who I am without Walker's Pint and without Betsy.
I bet.
Yeah.
And so while I can go anywhere holding my girlfriend's hand, right, and be myself, there's something different about a community. And that's what we look at is, again, experiences and people who, again, if you identify as LGBTQ plus or you don't, and you're an ally and you're in that space, there's something about being together.
Oh, absolutely.
That, like you said, it's what makes the gay bars special.
Sure.
And that is, they started, I mean, you look at the history of gay bars, and it started because people had to hide who they were.
Exactly.
And they were secret, and they were, like in alleys and blacked out windows. And that's why you look at the buildings, like Betsy talks about it. She wanted windows. She wanted really big windows. She wanted people to be able to see in and look out. That like, this is our world and we belong here just as much, but you can also feel safe, because I just had an event at the Pint. We were outside, did a dunk tank for a fundraiser for the Pint, and I met people that weren't out, that are my age, that are peers, that just they live in a different part of the state, and that was like where they come on the weekends. And they're and like you said, I'm never judging it, but it breaks my heart that they feel that way, that they've been brought up that way. And so it definitely is special, and it's definitely something that I cherish. And again, the people that have come, I'm only speaking on the Pint. We have such a plethora of amazing, I think, gay and lesbian bars and clubs in our city, and I think we have a pretty great neighborhood. But it is something that I think that we do have to value, and we can't let them. We have to continue to support them, because it's the community side of it is I think what is even bigger than the bar itself.
Yeah, the community side. So what about like the youth?
Yes.
I know. Like touching on a kid, like, I mean, I got 2 daughters. I'm different. I grew up they can do whatever they want as long as they're loved, as long as they are good people. I'm fine with it. But what if you got the youth that like maybe their parents are still like, no, you can't do that. You got to wear this. I mean, and you've seen all that stuff on Instagram, viral stuff where the dad's like punching the boy because he doesn't want him to, you know what I mean? He's trying to punch it out of him. And it's like some of that stuff, it makes me cry almost. And it's like, because I have kids, right? I would never, ever tell my kid they can't love someone because of their different gender or their feeling or color. I could just never put a stipulation that. How could you do that? That's going to bring your kid happiness. And I just don't understand. I just don't get it. It's just like racism too, right? It's like it doesn't make sense. But how do the youth did you deal it when you were younger? Like, how did you do that?
I didn't with my family, but there were external factors, and there were things. There's like a story my freshman or sophomore year in high school for me. A very popular clothing store at the time. I don't like to mention what it is because then I date myself. Yes. But a very popular clothing store at the time that everybody was wearing. God, and so I remember walking in. My aunt took me like back to school shopping. Yeah. And so I remember like looking, and it's right. This is the quote girls side. This is the quote boys side. So I looked in, and I look at where I'm supposed to go at the girls side, and I was like, "Yo,
I want that button up, maybe." Right?
No, it's not gonna. I didn't like it on the girls side. Like, I mean, Martin already knows where this story is going, but no, like I wanted nothing nothing to do with that side of the floor on the girl side. Like, and then it didn't fit me. Like, that was the other crazy part. That was like, they changed their sizing like drastically. And so I look over to my left on the boy side.
You were looking at V-necks.
Right. I was looking at button ups and I was like, all right, let's go. So my aunt lets me go ham, like no judgment. And people at the store, I remember, were like looking at me kind of funny. And they're like, and so you talk about that too. Like, I developed a weird thing about shopping in stores because, again, I never really wore like women's clothes. And so it was like this whole like breaking down, you know, again, like these boxes. So I show up to school in one of my new button up shirts and the guy who was, so I was a point guard on our basketball team. The guy who was a starting point guard on the boys team had the same shirt on that day. And it was relentless. Like, the kids were just relentless about it. And it's something that I'll never forget. Dude. And so
that's deep.
It's clothes, right? And that's it. And like, I didn't even think twice about it. I put it on. I felt comfortable. I didn't think, for me, I didn't want to be a boy. It was just like,
this is a good shirt.
I like this shirt. It fits me nice. Like, I like how it looks. Like, let's roll. Got to go to school. And so there's so many things that you look at that have, you know, continue to just like chip away. Where you just have to continue to try to be, you know, figure out where that community comes in. And to answer your question, Ian, for kids, I can't tell you how many times I've DJ'd at Milwaukee Pride Fest. Okay. And how many times I have teenagers come up to me bawling.
And ask, how do you do, right? Like, just for
bawling,
some help, right?
Right. That they, again, come from middle of nowhere, Midwest, USA. And this is the only weekend that they have where they can hold their significant other's hand, where they feel like they're a part of a family.
I hate that.
They feel like they're part of a community. They feel welcome. They feel safe. And so you look at all of these things. And so it goes back to Martin, like we said, we've made progress.
But exactly. But no, not
why
enough.
do I know? Why do I know 14-year-old kids that
2021?
Exactly.
That's not right.
And so and this might be a little deep, but this is sometimes where I think I get exhausted, and I'm going to try to put this in the best words I can. I feel like this is my job, is like who I am.
It's like you have to
be an advocate.
Like sometimes it gets tiring. You're like, you have to, dude.
If I can't stop being me, I'm not ready to stop DJing. I'm not ready to stop talking about LGBTQ plus issues. I'm not ready to stop talking about the suicide rate in LGBTQ plus kids. I'm not ready to stop talking about the homelessness rate in LGBTQ plus kids, especially trans kids. So like all these things that like I'm not ready to stop doing. And so like you mentioned, Ian, I feel like one of my life purposes is to continue to be comfortable in my own skin, so that if you look at me, however, if you're a boy, if you're a girl, if you're non-binary, I agree. You whatever you are, I think there are kids that see something in me, and not even just kids. I will go so far, and I hope this isn't coming across as arrogance or like, but I feel it. It's peers and people that are older than me that are inspired with like, how do you do what you do? And I just feel like this is my purpose. Awesome. And so music and being on these platforms, I'm being a part of the Bucks championship team in a very male dominated world. Like it's important in my opinion.
You're breaking so many norms and so many what people think are social laws and social rules, and you're doing things that honestly no one else has done. And so it's no wonder people look up to you and you feel that energy from people, because you're inspiring to them. There's a lot of kids out there who, you know, probably haven't come out, or they don't know what they are, but they know that they identify with your motivation, who you are, your confidence up there on the stage, and that means something to them. They don't know what it means, but they feel something, and they're like, you don't feel alone anymore. I think there's a lot of people that, you know, we all can look up to and be like, that's what I identify with, whatever it is. And so I think that's why you feel that. Thank you. Energy.
I think another part of it is too, and I've talked to peers, like people that I've gone to high school with, and whether they've been my teammates at Madison, like when I played ball, and I never had somebody. Yeah. And I'm not that old. Yeah. And that's the other crazy thing is like, so you want to talk about, I want to talk about this. Like I never said, I don't remember saying that's gay. I remember hearing it.
Yeah, me either. But
I remember hearing it constantly, and I respect that.
Yeah.
But
you shouldn't.
You own it.
But
you own it.
Yeah,
right?
It's not your fault.
Right. If you said it now,
that'd be a problem.
We'd have to talk about this. We'd have to turn that camera on.
Right.
I did just come from jiu-jitsu.
Right.
But I didn't know what I was until I knew what that word was.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, it was constantly around me.
Yep.
Everybody said it. And it was, and you talk about, again, making fun of minority groups or however you want to talk about that. Like, that doesn't feel good when you're that kid.
Right.
That then all of a sudden you're like, that's me. And they're talking about things negatively using a word that's me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that, again, I wish that when I was 14, 15, when I was in high school, to be honest,
that it's not that long ago.
It really isn't. I know I'm older, but like
in the grand scheme of things,
that's a long time.
For you to not have someone that you could look up to or identify with, and only being 10, 15 years ago, however long ago it was, that's not that long ago. And so it really goes back to the whole acceptance thing in the culture and how, we have all these rights and laws that we've passed, but we are really, really far behind. One of the things I want to get into is, and kind of circle back to, is the way that LGBTQ people have been portrayed in the media. And so one of my favorite shows,
Pose.
Yeah. How did you know I was going with this?
I know.
I never watched.
You never watch it? Okay, so Pose it's basically three things. It's a fictional story about
real life events.
Yeah, real life events, and it's basically about like the underground trans ball culture with an emphasis on like trans people of color. Back in, was it New York?
Yeah,
like Greenwich Village. Back in like the 80s and 90s. They touched on like the AIDS epidemic.
I gotta watch that.
I think it's I wouldn't say touched on.
It's probably the whole second. The whole second, third season. It's got Billy Porter. And then they cast real trans actors in it,
which is incredible.
Yeah, Dominic Jackson, MJ Rodriguez, India Moore, no relation. But when I finished that show and I watched how well done it was and how meticulous it was and how much care the directors and the team and the actors put into telling this story, and in the love that they put into letting the world see what it was like, not only being a trans person back then, but what it's probably like still now. It's very difficult to watch any movie, Superbad, Ace Ventura, anything out now that mocks that stuff. It's fucking infuriating to see a gay joke and see people who have gone through that shit mocked and be used as the butt of a joke. And so circling back to, kids growing up and trying to find their place in the world and who they are and what they identify with. When you have adults making movies and TV shows and commercials making fun of who you are and who you're going to be, that has to be a horrible fucking thing for a kid. And I'm not surprised that the suicide rate is so high, because we treat so many people in this country as less than human, as the butt of a fucking joke. And it's frustrating having to watch my sister go through that, having to watch aunts and uncles go through that, having to watch friends go through that. I can't imagine what it's like living it.
It's people valuing life, though. Exactly. We're all human beings. Like, that's the end of at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and it's just the love for human beings. So, like, if you're not accepting these people, something's got to be wrong with you. Yes. You're evil. Like the person's the same thing, but they like a certain color. They like a certain way. How can you hate somebody for that? I don't know. Maybe, again, I can't wrap my head around it. Maybe, I guess, why do you care? Why would someone care? Why do you care about things people do that don't affect you? Exactly.
I can't speak on that. All I can have.
Oh my God, the gays are mowing their lawn. Oh my God, the lesbians are paying their taxes. What the fuck do you care?
But DJ, why do you care? What about if you're out there, you're mowing, right? You're mowing, or you're doing something, let's just say manly. And what would you do if someone came up to you and been like, "What are you doing?
Why your husband's not doing that?"
Or like, what? Like, or maybe that's why you need a band. Or like, what would you say to that if someone hit you with something like that? And let's be honest, I want your real answer. That like, the cameras are not there. It's not DJ Shawna. It's whatever you want to do.
So
practice that jujitsu,
right? Yeah. Why do you think I practice jujitsu, Krav Maga?
Right.
I as somebody that is a woman and identifies as a woman, I am very sensitive to words. And so I want to make sure we come back to pose, because there's a lot of things that I think are very important to that. But I want to
lead with hate, or do you lead with like education?
I guess candidly, that is often there. Those are often moments where I don't know how to respond, because I know what I want to say, but I, again, don't want to hurt or offend this person that comes at me. But I don't think that that's always the best thing in the world. And so I am constantly working on better ways to find, like, not necessarily snarky or sassy ways, but it's like this clever response. Yeah. And so there are a lot of, I'm very, very, very sensitive to gender roles. I'm very sensitive to being mansplained. I'm very, like, again, being in a male dominated industry, I'm very sensitive to when and how men talk to me, and even women will talk to me. And like, I released my first song, and I can't tell you how many people I had to explain, like, how they're like, so what did you do? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, that's not you singing. I was like, I know. Yeah. Like, do you ask Diplo this? Like, do you ask like A-Track? Like, do you ask Marshmallow? Like, I go down the line, like, and so I don't know the answers to that. I just know I think it's weird.
Right. She's so nice about it. I would be like,
so
that's so funny.
So it's interesting, because again, I'm me, and I love cutting the grass. So if you have grass you want me to cut, I will come cut it, because I do not have grass to cut anymore. And so, like, I love doing those things. And like, you talk about gender roles, and you know, like, my brain immediately, we're staring at like an old school refrigerator that looks like it's from the 60s and 70s. That is crazy. Like, at that time, you know, like, I see
you had your thing of ice delivered, and
right. I see
your dry ice.
The quote, perfect family, a man and a woman in their little perfect house with this little pastel refrigerator, and the woman's in the kitchen, and the man carries the briefcase, and like all these things that you have to break down, that like, that's not my story. Yeah. But I want to continue to work on building a better vernacular for, if you will, comebacks on things like that. Yeah. And I'm getting better. It depends. I did have a gig actually recently where I had a guy that wouldn't stop talking about how good he thought I was as a DJ. And this was a 2-hour long set, and he came up to me and he kept saying stuff, and I couldn't understand why he was saying these things. And he came up and he's like, damn, are you coming for our jobs or something? And I literally took my headphones off and I looked at him, and I will tell you, I was exhausted. This was after the Bucks championship run. And I looked at him, I said, bro, I was like, I do that. I'm a full-time DJ, and I'm not trying to flex, like, but this is what I do. This is how I pay my bills. Yes. Like, this is what I do. And he's like, I DJ and I, like, on the weekends. And I was like, I literally asked him, Ian, like, I looked in his face. I was like, do you expect me to be a less than DJ because I do not have a penis?
Yes.
And he did not know how to respond to that.
What he was saying was, for a girl, you're a pretty good DJ.
I don't do well with qualifiers.
You can throw really good for a girl.
That's what drives me nuts, because it's like, what, a boy can't look up to her, but a girl can? Like, I hate that. I'm like, no. Right. I even told some of the kids, like, no, go check out DJ Shawna, boys and girls. Like, you should be able to be like on that pedestal sometimes when guys can look at you too. You can't just be like, and I think vice versa too with male athletes. You can look up at like a Carly Lloyd, I'm a soccer player, or Megan Rapinoe. You can look at those girls and be like, yo, I want to be like that, right? They're ballers just because they're playing a girl's sport. Like, that doesn't.
Well, it comes back to it, like, the male standard. Yeah. And I know I'm sitting at a table with two incredible men I mean, but male has been set as the standard.
I got two daughters.
Male. Yeah.
No, but I think that maybe, I don't know why I'm different, but maybe because I got two daughters. Yeah. Now I see what they go through. So maybe, I don't know, maybe my head would be different, but I just see it different because I want them to be
100%.
I want to be kings and queens. Why can't they be a king? You know what I mean? Yeah. Just because they're always queens. Yes, queen, but that's good too. But no, I want them to be. Why can't the king be a woman? Hey,
that would be the queen.
No, but we're switching that label though. They're running it. The queen's always kind of in the back.
So let's get into the next 20 years, because we kind of know where we've come the last 20 years. Let's get into the next 20 years, and let's kind of end with this. Where are we gonna be with gay rights and the boy, it's such a hard thing to LGBTQ plus community.
Hey.
Where are we going to be when it comes to families and to politics? And like I have a friend who lives in Florida. He's a huge Republican, and him and his husband, his husband is a huge Democrat, and I don't understand how they live together and they don't kill each other. But are we going to start seeing more people coming out in political sides that typically we don't see? What does the next 20 years look like, just as far as where you think we're going to be?
I think so. I think there's a lot.
That's a big question.
It is a big question, and so there's a couple of things. So one, I love what the recent census has again. Like I like stats, I like science, and the recent census is that we have our other demographics other than white are growing.
Yeah.
And that is, you talk about the melting pot, you talk about the United States, you talk about the American dream.
Sure.
That's what I'm excited about, is that there are other demographics that are now not necessarily going to be minority based off of numbers.
Sure.
Like when racism will die when everybody's mixed. That's when it's gonna die.
In Ian's world, yes.
That's when it's gonna die. That's the only reason. Everyone's gonna be mixed.
Right.
You can't make fun of me because that's the only way.
Yep.
It's the only way it's gonna happen.
And so I think that by having other voices at the table is really, really, really important.
Absolutely.
And we're watching that
huge.
happening. We're watching that happening. And so we're getting people at the table, which have stereotypically been straight white men, that, in my opinion, there's always enough for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means that, like, if I'm at the table, I'm going to scoot over and I'm going to try to make as much room for somebody else that if I look around and I see, like, this is a room full of white people, we need to fix that.
Yeah.
Like,
that's not an accurate representation.
100%.
So can
the
we
human
see
race.
a gay president?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
Pete
Love
Buttigieg was
Right.
running.
Yeah.
I think we're not going to see the last of him.
That's
And I think it would be
That's great.
refreshing. We still don't have a
gosh.
woman president.
Right.
I know.
So I think, to answer the question, is I think we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
It's the same with social justice issues. We have a
Yeah.
long way to go, but we can't stop working. And the cool thing is I think we have to continue to have conversations like this, but then we also have to have action.
Action.
And there has to be action. And whether that means I'm continuing to work on being a better anti-racist.
Yeah.
I want to be somebody that is not just an ally, but stands up when there's like shit going down,
and
I don't let it happen.
Sure.
Because I know there have been times where I see something
and you just
and I
pass.
stand.
You just-
I have
you
stood
let-
there.
yeah.
And that's the same thing when I'm watching somebody get bullied, or if I see something online. I will tell you, I'm a part of a group, to be honest, of DJs in our city. And I'm not going to put any names on blast, but there are times in that Facebook group where I call most of these guys out on things that they're talking about.
I started doing that a little bit. I didn't want to, but I started doing that too on Instagram.
To be honest, I don't get, and the reason I feel like I don't go around trying to make fights online, especially Facebook, but this group was built for Milwaukee DJs, and they make jokes about homosexuality, and they make these comments, and they talk about, they talk about sexist things, and I will step up. And I'll be honest, like after the Bucks championship, I have felt like you can't touch me.
Yeah.
No.
Like I'm not arrogant about it.
No,
Like I finally feel like I have two legs to stand on.
It's huge,
when I'm talking to my peers that are predominantly men, and I'm not gonna allow that, because I know I've been in that group for years, and I've just read that stuff and I've internalized it. So there are a couple hundred people in there. There has to be somebody else that it also hits directly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is meant to be a support group for DJs. Like, this is a little local, like Milwaukee thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how we can get to that far. So the point, I think, is that we have to continue, like, to be better.
Sure.
We have to continue to grow. We have to continue to learn, make room at the table, and understand that we're going to slip up sometimes and we're going to make mistakes. But I'm not all about cancel culture.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you talk about being an athlete. Can you imagine if you, like, every time you turn the ball over, you got canceled?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
It would be ridiculous.
Yeah, you
right?
suck. You're
right.
out. You're okay.
But that's how you learn.
Yeah.
You make less turnovers then, right? I can understand if you continue to make the same mistake, then we're going to cut your ass.
Yeah.
But it's like,
it's true.
I don't agree with cancel culture. And so I think that's where we have to learn and grow. We have to be held accountable and hold other people accountable. And I'm excited to see where things go, but I think we definitely have a long way to go, because again, you look at the suicide rate, like the Trevor Project is one of the most amazing like projects I think that exists out there. If you ever need help and you want to talk to somebody, there's somebody there 24/7. And you talk about like texting, you don't have to have a face. You can be anonymous. Like there's so many resources, but I don't want to have those resources at some point. So,
part of acceptance and part of rights and part of progress, comes at the cost, or the cost. One of the casualties of that is losing gay bars and kind of possibly losing that sort of community and getting to this paradisical world where everybody lives together without confrontation.
That was a big word. Dang.
Do you ever think about that and think about what would it really be like if this world was all accepting and I didn't have to worry,
I do.
Because
have you been to Pride?
Yeah, right.
I know.
Have you been to Pride?
Because you think about some of that stuff, and some of the things like Pride Fest and stuff like that exists because the world is not all accepting, and you need that place to go to and have that community. You need those bars. Do you ever worry that those things in the 50 years, 100 years, 200 years from now could go away as more people accept and it becomes more normal, more acceptable?
I don't. I think I'm quick to that one, because we have Irish Fest, we got Festa Italiana, we got so it's a history, it's a culture, it's a community, and we need to understand Stonewall. We need to understand that we would not have Pride Fest without Black women, without Black trans women, and that's important history that a lot of people don't understand. So like Pose, that when you talk about music, you talk about culture, you talk about influence. We have Black women, Black trans women. And I know that Pose is fictional, but it is based off of real life.
Yes.
It is based. And so the whole Vogue, I hope I'm not ruining this for anybody.
It's good.
So Madonna's Vogue, that is a direct we can trace it.
Wow.
It was directly,
from
I will say
culture.
stolen.
It was stolen
from Black women ballroom culture. And so you look at how white people have continued to use their platform and be Madonna, like of all people. And I don't know that she's ever come out and talked about it, but it can be traced, and it's crazy because in the episodes that they talk about it, they finally the community in Pose finally feels seen because Madonna's doing what they're doing, and so they finally feel like they got a leg up on the world, and like they're gonna have a little bit more of a foothold to like step up and not have to be homeless and not have to be looked down upon. But it was ultimately, you look at, to me again, music, like I would not be a DJ without Black men. Like that's where hip hop culture started. That's where DJ culture started. House music started in the Black community. Like you look at all these things that we have to pay homage to. And I just don't think that Pride is ever going to be able to go away, because we have to continue to celebrate those things.
Better not go away.
Right. And we have to understand that this all started because of a riot. And this all started because of police brutality against a group of people that were not accepted. And that's what Pride is. And ultimately, it's celebrating love, and it's celebrating acceptance and diversity. So I don't think it will ever go away.
I think that documentation and that historical preservation is going to be vital going forward, and making sure that we talk about Stonewall, and we talk about the AIDS epidemic, and we talk about all the things that we probably really aren't taught as kids when we're in school, and we make sure we preserve that history, and we talk about it, and we learn from it.
Could you imagine if the AIDS epidemic, instead of like just burning through the gay world, it was attacking straight white men?
Boy, we would have we would have found a cure for it a hell of a lot faster.
That's true.
It is true,
but it is.
You can apply that to basically anything.
Basically anything.
What if it was happening to straight white men?
Martin,
things get fixed a whole lot fucking faster.
Martin, I'm a little sad though, because my birthday's coming up, and I should have booked her probably 2 years in advance. Because
Shawna.
now
She's big bucks. She's big bucks now.
Now it's gonna. Yeah. Now I'm thinking. I was like looking. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna probably.
Wait,
cost
what are you doing for your birthday?
I don't know yet. That's why it's on the 27th. So I got time to think, but I don't know how I'm gonna book her now. It's gonna be dang. How much do you go for a booking? You think? Or what's the most?
I don't want.
Don't you have to be big time? But let's just be. What about if somebody was like
$1 million an hour?
Yeah, like what about if some? No, seriously. What about if some NBA basketball player was like, dude, I love what you do. They'll throw it ridiculous, but like, I don't know, maybe like 50.
No,
come on,
no.
She's so modest.
No,
She's so
never,
humble and
no.
nice.
No. I mean, it's a job, and it's got to be viable.
Yeah, but what about if someone was like, dude, I want to hire you for like 50K? You wouldn't take it.
I would take it if that's what they put on the table. I'll be like,
all right,
thank you.
All right.
Ian will come with me. Shawna, thank you so much for coming on here. I really wanted to.
Yes, I wanted
wanted
to
to
talk to her forever.
listen more than talk.
Yeah.
And it was really humbling and honoring to listen to you and your story and hear about your successes. And you know, re-listening to this episode when it comes out, it's gonna let me reflect on, you know, the people that I care about and love, who are in my family, my friends, you, and really reflect on the struggles you've went through and the successes and the triumphs that you guys have you know, gotten to participate in and enjoy.
I hope kids
and
really
it's seriously
what
we'll
inspire them.
Putting everything aside, just you as a person, and you know, you and I sat down a couple of years ago, and I remember you were really frustrated with your brand, and you were really frustrated with, like, you know, where am I going to be? I'm working, I'm doing all this shit and DJing, and I just don't know where I'm going to be. You know, to see you now. And, you know, I texted you this last night in what you've accomplished and everything. I'm not surprised at all. And so I celebrate and I'm happy for you, but I'm not surprised. I always knew it was a matter of time before you were going to get here. And I know that you're not done. So
thank you.
I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to
DJ
come on the show.
Where can they find you, man? Like, give me where they can look you up. Instagram, everywhere.
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, at DJ Shawna, SHAWNA.
What's your MySpace?
You know what? I've been trying to actually get back into my MySpace.
I couldn't log into mine either.
I can't. I feel like they've it was my old undergrad email that I don't have access to.
Was it an AOL email or something?
No, it was wisp.edu where I went and so I can't get into MySpace. Darn you.
So yeah, if you want to book her, man, find her, whatever.
I'm on the Tiki Taka too.
Hey, she's doing all that stuff. So hey, make sure you find her, make sure you like look her up, like make sure you do whatever. If you want to book her, she's the best.
Hey, and I'm gonna ask people stream my song I Won't Give Up. So anywhere you listen to music, search DJ Shawna.
Oh, I wish I had that ready. I could have played it. Oh gosh, okay.
It's called I Won't Give Up.
All right.
It's a lot of me. So if you listen to this episode, you like what you hear.
Is it a banger?
I mean, I'm happy with it. I'm proud of it. I'm obviously not singing on it, but I co-wrote and produced it, and it's a lot of my feels. It's a lot of me. So I hope people like it. And then I got some other fun stuff coming out down the pipeline that hopefully people are excited about. That we'll share more of my story.
DJ Shawna, it's been a pleasure, man.
Thank you very much.
You know how it is. Always a pleasure, my man. All right, thank you.